Greetings and aloha, what's going on? It's Mike from livemyassoff.com. I just had a gratitude attack, and I found it interesting why. Gracie and I are here in Cha'am, and we are at our condo that's part of those condos up there. And the same condo complex that we stayed at the first, I want to say, week we were in Thailand permanently, if you will. So November of 2019, I moved here. You can't see it. And so there's like a low-rise condo complex. There's 4-story buildings here, and then in the distance, potentially you can see it like through the trees there. There's 2 high-rise buildings. I believe they go up to 26 floors. And we were back there for an entire month. And as a tip, actually, if you're moving here or staying here and you're like, oh, I can't do X, Y, Z on my tourist visa, or I can't get, you know, bank account this, driver's license that. With our 1-month lease agreement from that place back there, I was able to get a residency certificate at the local immigration office here. And then from there went over to land transport and was able to get my Thai driver's license. So had those, I don't know, approximately after 3 weeks or so in the kingdom, I had all that taken care of. So anyway, just popped into my head. But, you know, I mean, I'm on the beach, right? And I'm in, like, I'm in Thailand, so, so there's that. Geez, Mike, why are you so grateful? But I was here by myself when Gracie was in the Philippines, and we were doing our long distance COVIDity, as I'm sure many of you that watch this are experiencing. And for that, if you're still experiencing it, the phrase, I know how you feel, like that's, I think it's pretty accurate. So I came down here, you know, by myself, and I stayed over there, and I, you know, reminiscing, right? I was just like, this was great when Gracie and I were first here, and it really makes me feel good, and I'm grateful, and I was grateful, and I still am grateful. But to my gratitude attack, I just left the condo after catching up on some videos and stuff, news, what I consider news, meaning entertainment and travel. And I went to 7-Eleven, grabbed a Coke Zero, cruised back, walked back, got to the condo, and I just sat down next to Gracie on the couch, and I just started tearing up. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And I was just like, honey, I'm so grateful that we're here. And what's interesting, at least for me, is that it wasn't so much like, okay, Gracie and I are on vacation, but it was reflecting back, and, you know, some nostalgia, right? Based on, hey, you know, the first time we began our lives together, basically, right? Here in 2019, November. So that was neat. I mean, that was nice, so to be able to reflect on that and say, oh my God, you know, X amount of things has happened, and since then, and we're still together, and all we plan to do is be together, and that's, you know, that's comforting for me. I mean, that's fulfilling for me. And, you know, it might not be for you, but I'm just sharing with you my experience that I had several minutes ago. And I was sharing with Gracie, I was like, you know, I was here by myself, like about, what's it now, June? About 8 months ago. And came back down, and I was like, oh yeah, this is really cool and everything, but man, like, us being back here together, and I was just thinking, I'm like, I mean, we have 0 problems, really. You know, I mean, the reason we're here, and the reason I'm having this gratitude attack, and the reason I'm walking at this only child beach, and it's, you know, 90 degrees out or whatever, it's perfect temperature for me. Wind is blowing, it's hot, it's humid. The cloud cover on the horizon is awesome. You know, The reason we're down here is because we have to wait to get paperwork so that we can basically go get married. And this has been the scenario in our lives for several weeks now, meaning trying to get paperwork that we thought was enough paperwork so that we could apply for a marriage certificate so we could get married, blah, 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 blah. It's not blah, 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 blah. So that we could get married and from there do some additional things. Visa-wise, permanently together, traveling-wise, that sort of thing. And, oh, I see what this is. So if you guys don't know, we discovered this the other day, and you may all be like, yeah, right, Mike, that's what they do. So here's this, you know, and so the green things have this line float, right? And then there's this net. And I discovered the reason they do this is to keep the jellyfish at bay, basically. A lot of times you'll see, you know, the orange cones, for example, will go out, you know, a couple hundred meters, and then they'll go parallel to the beach, and then they'll come back in, and then there's this netting that is attached to the bottom, and apparently that is to keep jellyfish out so that people can swim in a safe area. Now what's odd about this is it's just one that goes there, so who knows, maybe this is not that, but I learned that before. Shiny red ball. So we're down here, and I was sharing with her, I was like, honey, we can like do anything. I mean, we've got no problems right now. You know, and I don't know if you guys do this as far as like, oh, the future, right? I mean, it's based on a number of factors. You know, I suppose if you're a certain age and you're like, okay, I'm going to get retirement, then you're like, I know how much money I'm going to get per month for the rest of my life if I'm living off of, like, say, or not living off of, but if I'm receiving Social Security. So you look at the future and you're like, okay, this is, you know, you project stuff, right? And some of you may do this, you know, you look at your, I'll just say what I do. I look at my parents and I say to myself, okay, well, my health will probably be similar to theirs, with the overlay of current modern medicine techniques by the time I'm their age, meaning by the time I'm in my mid-80s, there will be additional medical things that presumably will help me to live comfortably, potentially longer. So, you know, I look at my parents and they're in great health, and they drive and they walk like between 1 and 3 miles a day at the beach in February in New England when it's not warm and a nice leisurely walk at the beach. They do it for exercise, and they do it because they want to. My mom, she takes care of herself. They both eat right. My mom takes care of herself by swimming regularly in addition to that walking. So I look at that and I say, okay, well, you know, I don't swim, but we do walk at the beach and I try and get out. And you know, I eat fairly healthy. I'd probably arguably don't eat as healthy as my parents, but Gracie and I eat pretty healthy. And you know, don't drink alcohol, right? Anyway, so I say to myself, okay, well then there's probably a good chance that we'll live to be, let's say for the sake of argument, 100. And here I am, 53, Gracie is 36, and like literally the world is our oyster, the world is out in front of us, the future looks so bright, I gotta wear shades kind of thing. I mean, it's just, oh my God. You know, and here I am, like, it's COVID, dude. And I'm trying to think, okay, so like, you know, yeah, you don't know what it's gonna be like between here and October, but you don't necessarily know what it's gonna be like here and, you know, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. But here's the thing. I think that having been at the age I was when the global financial crisis basically hit me and my experience of that, and now being the age that I've been, seeing the market, you know, dip like crazy recently, of course, because this COVID thing, but then experiencing COVID the way I'm experiencing COVID, I think to myself, you know, because let's face it, you know, I think many people could argue that the worst thing that's happened in their lives has been COVID. Maybe. For some people, the worst thing that could have happened in their lives was potentially the global financial crisis. They're like, no, I lost everything. I know back then, you know, many people would respond to it. You'd ask them a question about, quite frankly, anything. And their default response was, well, you know, the economy. And I think a lot of default responses to things recently has been, well, you know, it's COVID. Okay. So, meaning that, you know, here we are living through one of the worst times in our lives, right? Gracie's had some family health issues years ago that were very precarious, and, you know, they lived through those. I myself have been through imperfection in various forms and, you know, lived through those. All those things I thought were going to kill me, turns out, here I stand talking into my hand, into my GoPro 9. You know? In 2008, if someone said, hey, here's the technology that's going to be available via a camera, half of the size of a pack of cards, you know, you'd be like, what? It costs $5,000, you know, and I tried to order one for $350, and it takes them so long to mail me the thing. They can't charge my credit card. The silly CEO of the company sends me an email and says, you know what, Mike, I'm sorry for your frustration. Here's a free one. So, you know, so that's the, look, I'm all over the place with my topics right now. But, you know, regardless of what I've spoken about in the last however many minutes, it's just one piece of gratitude after the other. And, you know, I'm pretty certain that imperfection is going to happen. And there'll be some trying times in my future, in our future, in Gracie's future, that I just sit there powerless over and go, how in the world are we going to get past this? And we likely will. So anyway, I haven't walked and talked on the beach for a while. As another reason I'm really grateful is that I can just like come down here and do a walk and talk on the beach. Because for me, it's cleansing. It's, you know, it's a pause, right? And just be like, oh my God, I get all this, you know? What lottery did I just win, guys? So, that's my gratitude attack check-in for today. It is sometime in June of 2021. It's Mike's from livemyassoff.com saying, I hope you're living the dream. If you're not living the dream and you can't get to, obviously, this beach, I'm the only person basically in our Cool Kids table sphere that is here. If you can get to a beach or whatever your beach is, if your happy place is a mountaintop and it's got to have 10 feet of snow on it and you got to have, I don't know, ice climbing gear for you to feel at home, then awesome. For me, it's take my shoes off and walk in the sand for however long I can pretty much stomach it until my legs give out. That's a beach. When I can look all the way towards the end and be like, I don't know if I can walk that whole thing and back barefoot today without a hat on and without fresh water. But I've done it before. So anyway, thanks for watching. And anyway, I hope wherever you're watching this, you're safe and happy. And if there's anything I can do to help, shoot me an email. Let me know. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao.